Welcome to this month's Be in Brunswick. I'm your host, Shannon Vieira, President of the Brunswick County Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to take this time and thank our sponsors, ATMC TV, Dane Delane Hair Salon Studios, and Surf Unlimited. We're going to have a blast from the past, and we're going to revisit a segment when we were with Seato, cruising down the Intercoastal Waterway and learning a little bit about what they do just in time for this summer. So stay tuned and watch this episode of Be in Brunswick. Welcome to Being Brunswick. I am here with Seato owners Clay and Heather Hughes. Thank y'all so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
We're excited to be able to come out and learn a little bit about what you guys do in your business on a daily basis, pretty much year round. So tell us a little bit about Seato. How long have y'all been here doing this?
This was a part-time job at Wrightsville Beach in 1991 when I was in college. We eventually bought the franchise here in 2004. So we've been running it full-time since then, and then last year we actually bought the Myrtle Beach franchise, so we have that area as well.
So what is your area that you cover now with the new purchase of Myrtle Beach area?
We now cover, it's about 5 miles up the Cape Fear River from Southport all the way down to the Socastee Swing Bridge down in Myrtle Beach. So about 80 miles of intercoastal waterway that we cover, and the offshore waters.
80 miles, that's a lot of coverage area for you guys. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a challenge sometimes, but we love it. I mean, it's kind of in our blood. So
how many people do you have to employ to be able to cover that miles?
I've got 6 captains, and then myself, and then we've got Heather's always helping us, and then we've got a full-time lady that works in our office, Jewel. She's our dispatcher, so we got 8 or 9 total.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
You guys have a new location as well for your corporate offices, right?
Yes, we are very excited. It's been a hectic week because we're still moving into our new office, but we are now going to be located, it's 837 Brick Landing Road. That's a Shallotte address on 179 between Shallotte and Ocean Isle. It gives us, we own it now, and it gives us a lot more space to stretch our legs a little bit, and very proud of our new shop. So.
Well, we look forward to having a ribbon cutting out there soon, just so everybody can see your new location.
I can't wait.
We'll schedule that.
To do that.
So right now, I think what we're going to do is we're going to get out on one of your boats and kind of do a little tour, and we'll talk about what you guys do a little bit more on the water.
Okay, great.
Let's go do it.
All right.
Wow, this is such an awesome boat, Clay. Tell me a little bit about your boat.
Yeah, this is it's a Zodiac is the make. It's 30 foot in length. Obviously, it's got air tubes, which is good for a number of reasons. It makes it wide and stable. You can pull up beside the boats that we're assisting and not have to worry about damaging the boats. It's fairly lightweight. It's very fast, so we can, fast response. That's important sometimes. So we love this boat. This is our probably the best boat we've got in the fleet.
How fast does it go?
It'll do about 60.
Oh, I think we should try it out. Let's open it up.
Well, first thing we need to do then is get these life jackets on.
All right,
so
let's do that.
That's the rule we got to have. Everybody's got to have a life jacket.
All right, so that goes. I like how small these are, and they're just as good as the traditional.
Yeah, all of our captains have to, we actually, they can get penalized if we catch them without a life jacket on. So it's very important, just to project the image to the community that, to promote safety. And,
absolutely.
And we encourage everybody out there to wear life jackets. These are great. I mean, they're not like the big old orange bulky kind. I mean, I'm so used to them now. If I get on a boat and I don't have one, I feel like I'm naked. I'm like, where's my
It's like having a seatbelt in the car, right?
Yeah.
All right, let me put this on. So I'm just going to clip it here. Anything else I need to do?
Here, and just pull her a little bit snug.
And I don't want to hit that yellow button, right? That's going to inflate it.
You don't want to pull that. And,
I got it. All right, so let's get on board.
Seato.
Yes, hello. We have a call for you.
Okay, what you got?
It'll be
Okay. What's the description of the boat?
It's a 2016 19-foot Stingray, white and gray.
Okay.
The name of the boat is Captain Caden.
Captain Caden. Do you have it in field squared?
Yes, I do. He's going to be on the ICW, the east end of Ocean Isle Beach.
Okay. I'll put in a 5-minute ETA, and if you can pass that on to him, he should also get the text.
Roger, sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
No problem.
All right. So right now we just got a call for, what was it,
Got a battery jump on the east end of Ocean Isle, and then I'll also should have the text. Okay, when we get calls now with our new system, CTO dispatch member, battery jump assigned to your franchise. I've got the member name, his phone number, and the boat location and his location. So I also get it on text, and then it'll be in my Field Squared app, which is what we use to dispatch calls. So I can click on this, and I will find the job. And here it is right here. So I got all my information. It tells me where he's at, what he's needing, and we're gonna get going underway now. So I'm gonna hit out, and that's gonna record the time that I'm out, and that's gonna record the position that we left from, and that'll put it all in the login job at the end, the receipt that we give him. It'll tell him what time we left, where we were when we left. When I get on scene, we'll click that. So we're gonna hit out, and we'll go ahead and get going to his position and see if we can get him help.
All right.
Okay, so what I've done is I've gone into our system and I've put my ETA, which is only 5 minutes. The customer, the member in this case, will actually receive a text saying that we're on the way, and it'll give him the ETA. So that's just another form of him staying notified, and it gives him a contact number where he can call us if he has any questions or if anything changes with his situation.
Okay.
So he should be right in here somewhere. Mr. McMillan, what seems to be the problem today? Won't turn over anything?
No, I'm not real sure. Must be a dead battery.
Okay, yeah, that's what it came in as a possible battery jump. So we can, I've got Shannon here with me today. We can get her to help you with a battery jump.
Nice to meet you.
You too. Thank you for.
Sure, I didn't know. Get on that side. My battery's over there, but either way.
Okay.
You're the expert.
All right, I'm gonna back off and pull just a little bit closer to you. That way we don't have to get off on the beach and we can go straight over.
All right. So what are we going to do right now?
All right,
Clay?
we're going to attempt to jump his battery so we don't have to tow him. That way he can get going and continue to enjoy his day out on the water. So I keep all my dry goods in here. So we will get our little handy dandy jump box out.
Okay. So kind of like a car deal,
Yeah,
you know,
like a
not
car,
much
but,
difference.
We've got a nice waterproof box here.
Okay.
It's actually got super capacitors in there, so it's,
Oh, wow.
it's heavy duty, and some things don't work very long on a boat in a saltwater environment, but this thing's pretty tough. So,
All right, wonderful. So
you
we
wanna-
just
you
climb
wanna do the
over?
honors?
All right, sure.
Can you get across there?
Yeah. Do you mind if I step on your seat?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.
My son does it all the time.
Okay, so Clay, you're telling me to put the red,
Put the red on
On the-
first.
and I just like this.
Uh-huh. Perfect.
Okay, and then the black.
And
They got
black.
wet. Does that matter?
No, it's okay. We're off right now.
Not
Our
gonna
box
get
is off.
shocked. Okay. All right. And then go. All right.
All right, and now we're gonna flip this switch right here, and it's gonna tell us he's at 12.3 voltage now, so he should be. If you wanna, Chris, if you wanna give it a shot and see what you'll do.
Perfect.
All right.
So that's it. You
Sure
just.
wasn't doing that 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's,
It's like kind of instantaneous. So do we just take these right off?
yeah, I've got
Okay.
it off now, so you can take the black one off first. All right, and the other one.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being a member.
Wonderful.
It's no charge. I'll get your signature here. Okay, I'm gonna create an invoice here. All right, Chris, just give me 1 second here, and I'll get your signature. Okay. All right, if you'll just sign right here for me, that saved yourself $325 today.
That's great. That's a deal.
Y'all, do you guys pick up people that are not members as well and just have a different rate for that? Or
Yeah,
is
we
it
do.
just- okay.
Like I say, if he hadn't have been a member here, that would have been $325 for the first hour of service.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we'll service members and non-members alike. I mean, we would rather everybody be a member because now he's happy. It's not costing him anything. He can go on his way and enjoy the rest of his day out here boating. But if people who choose not to be a member, they get out on the water, they're going to need your help also. So
Yeah.
we can do that as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you again.
Hey, thank you very much, sir.
You don't have to do that.
Get you a cold iced tea when you get back.
I'm going to give that to Shannon since she did all the work.
Okay. All right.
Awesome. Well, have fun on the rest of your journey today
I'll try.
and enjoy
Thank you.
your
It's a
beautiful
beautiful
day.
day.
Yes, sir. Thank
Absolutely.
you. All right. Thanks for letting me touch your boat.
Well, good job.
Woo!
You did great.
Whoa! I feel like a pirate, but a good pirate.
You can start coming on the boat with us all the time.
Hey, yeah. That was pretty good. That was a great, quick and easy.
That was an easy one, and he's happy. He's a member, so yeah,
So your membership, they can join. There's like an annual fee or something like that, or
yeah.
monthly fee.
Our membership is $179 a year, and that covers you for a year, and that covers every boat you own, including jet skis. A lot of people down here we find have their big boat, their small boat, a couple of jet skis, and that covers everything, whether they're on it or not. And so it's free towing, battery jumps, fuel drops, ungroundings. There's a sandbar here right in front of us. A lot of people tend to find that. We'll pull them off. That's included in the membership. And we'll have tows, especially offshore tows, where you have a lot of time involved. They can easily run up into the thousands of dollars if you're not a member. So it's our preference that everybody's a member. It makes our job easier. Just like with Chris, just sign and go. You might have to worry about boat problems being fixed, but you don't have to worry about a large tow bill. So
wow, I mean that was a great savings. I mean he pretty much paid for his it was a $300
yeah, it would have been
charge
$325 minimum 1 hour. So
and he only paid $179 a year. That's for the service, and
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about today that you want us to mention about CETO and what you guys do?
We mentioned, when we put our life jackets on, we talked about safety. We try to be avid promoters of safety because some of the things that we see on the water, some of the kind of foolish things that people do, unfortunately, a lot of it is when there's alcohol involved on the boat. But we see a lot of things on the water that can be very dangerous. We've actually assisted before with helping people, pulling people out of the water. So one thing that we try to do to help promote safety is we've got life jacket stands set up at all the boat ramps. Most of the boat ramps in Brunswick County, I think we've got 9 stands set up now. So every public boat ramp and some of the private boat ramps now that you'll go to, you'll see life jacket stands that were actually provided by North Carolina Wildlife, and we provide the life jackets on there in every size from infant all the way up to oversized adult. So if somebody gets to the ramp and they realize that they forgot their life jackets, obviously children have to wear them while underway, and sometimes they don't have the right size, so we provide those. We do that through the CETO Foundation just as a benefit to the community.
Wonderful.
So that's just something else that we try to do to give back to the community.
And that's kind of an honor system. They borrow it and put it back when they're done.
Exactly, yeah,
Okay.
and it explains it on there is just, use it for the day, or if you're in town for the week, use it for the week and return it. And surprisingly, most people return those. I mean,
wonderful.
I was scared we were going to be out there restocking them every week, but I stopped by one in Holden Beach one day, and there's only 2 out of about 10 life jackets there, and I was like, okay, I got to go back and restock. I went back, got 8 more life jackets the next day, brought it back, and there was 9 life jackets on the stand. Everybody had come back and returned them, so
That's good.
it gave me a good feeling. It's kind of, the program's working, I think.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for allowing me and ATMC to come out today and get on the water and see what you guys do. I'm very impressed with your operation, the technology, the opportunity to help, people that are stranded in our waterways, and the safety component that you do. So thank you so much, Clay and Heather, for having us out here. So thank you.
Well, you gotta drive the boat before you leave,
Yes,
right?
I do. So how do I do that?
Just you switch places with
All
you
right.
here, and you can get at the wheel.
All right.
And these are the throttles. And all that.
Yeah.
One for each engine, so you can go as fast or as slow as you feel comfortable with.
So do you do one or both?
You can hold them in the middle and kind of do both.
All right, so we're going like 5 knots, so we're gonna punch this up now. This is really crazy. Am I supposed to turn this too?
You can turn it, just keep that red marker on your starboard side, your starboard side.
Right side?
That's right,
All
very
right.
good.
Only because it's on the right side.
Okay, that one was obvious. All right.
Okay, this is great. Well, thank you all again, and I appreciate the opportunity to be out here.
Well, thanks for having us, and anytime you can come right along.
All right.
We have a very large population of patrons who need large print materials. Some of our patrons only read large print materials and cannot read anything else. And we had a very small percentage of our collection that was large print. In fact, 8% of our collection is large print materials, but 11% of what circulates in and out of this library is large print materials. So there was a need to increase the number of large print books for our patrons to entertain them, diversity of reading, improve their quality of life. We were able to purchase 80 books with the grant money that we received from ATMC, and that money purchased fiction as well as nonfiction, as well as biographies. We are very grateful to ATMC and the grant that they provided to us so that we could purchase those large print books for our patrons. It gives them the opportunity to have access to reading materials that they would not otherwise have. Fiction stories, as well as nonfiction and biographies, so that our patrons can continue to interact with the world around them through the printed word.
Welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed the CETO segment. Now we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit. Recently we had a Brunsco Biz Breakfast series that our chamber has been hosting along with the South Brunswick Business Development Committee. And we're going to give you a little taste of that breakfast where we had Congressman David Rouser and local CPA Davis Milligan talk about the upcoming new tax laws and tax reform that will be affecting all of our small businesses here. So please stay tuned and watch Being Brunswick.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here with you this morning, and this is such a beautiful part of the district. As I was coming over the river from Wilmington this morning, I always enjoy that drive. Just such a beautiful, beautiful area. We're very, very fortunate to have such beautiful resources right here in our backyard. I want to talk a little bit about the overall picture as it related to the environment that led up to tax reform, the things that are transpiring in the economy today. And in fact, on the way over here, I was happened to be listening to the news and heard that the Federal Reserve is anticipating that the second quarter growth is going to be close to 4.1 GDP. Which we've not seen 4.1 GDP, I think, since the roaring 90s and the 80s. And that is all attributable to the much better and stronger business climate that we have in place today, which goes back to the policies that we've been working so hard on the last year and a half in particular. With the election of President Trump, who 50% of the country loves, 50% of the country hates, there is significant change taking place in Washington. Two of the main items, number one is the regulatory reform efforts that are taking place. Most of that is done on the executive branch side administratively. Some of that has also been done through the use of congressional review acts. Congress has passed 15 of those actually, and the president has signed 14 of those into law. And those congressional review acts take rules and regulations off the books that have been put in place within the last year and a half or so that have been deemed to cost the economy a significant amount of economic activity. Now, rules and regulations are very similar to that closet that we all have in our house. where you got box after box after box stacked up on top of each other. It's basically the old storage closet, and over a period of time, you don't even know what's in there. And I liken that to our regulatory regime that we have in place and have had in place. You've got all these rules and regulations that have built up over several decades, and a lot of them are outdated, do not fit the economy of today, and they need cleaning out. You need a reorganization, you need a cleansing, so to speak, of that closet so that you finally can figure out what you've got and where you've got it without having to go through multiple boxes to get there. And those rules and regulations basically are akin to a stop sign or a stoplight every 10 feet on the interstate. You need to know that you drive on the right side of the road. You need to know that you stop at a stop sign, that you have stoplights, and that's all important at its appropriate place, but you don't need a stop sign or a stoplight every 10 feet. And that's basically what our regulatory regime had become. So systematically, this administration has directed every agency across the board to go in and basically clean out that closet and repeal those rules and regulations that no longer apply to the economy of today. It's not getting rid of rules and regulations, to harm the environment or do any of that type of thing that you see a lot in the press or that folks like to focus on from time to time, particularly as a political campaign gets heated up. Is to get rid of those rules and regulations that are hindering the economy that no longer apply to the economy of today. For every new rule and regulation this administration has put in place, they have repealed roughly 22 or 23. That's a significant achievement, and that is in large part one of the main reasons why the economy is doing as well as it's doing, and why you saw the stock market increase so rapidly last year, because we didn't have tax reform done at that point in time. They were responding to the regulatory changes that were being made. And then with the tax reform effort that was achieved, that has helped dramatically as well. I brought with me a couple of surveys, one done by the National Association of Manufacturers, where they polled all their members, and it says 77% of the manufacturers are already reporting that they plan to increase hiring thanks to tax reform. 72% of manufacturers report that they plan to increase his wages or benefits for their workers. And we're already starting to see that and have been seeing it since tax reform was put into place. A recent member survey showed 86% of manufacturers are reporting that they plan to increase investments thanks to tax reform. 93% of manufacturers report a positive outlook for their companies and the economy in the latest National Association of Manufacturers Outlook Survey, which is a record high level of optimism, with tax reform cited as the major reason for it. That's from the National Association of Manufacturers. The NFIB, the National Federation of Independent Business, some of you are probably a member of NFIB. And we did a lot in the tax reform bill to help small businesses. And in fact, the main focus of tax reform, the $1.5 trillion that we had to work with in order to come up with a tax reform bill, was basically all channeled, the vast majority of it on the business side, was channeled to those small businesses, your local bakery that has 2 or 3 employees, any small business, pass-through, S-Corp, LLC, partnership with a relatively small number of employees, those guys that created their business in the garage and took it to the marketplace. That's really where the focus of tax reform was channeled. The other component of tax reform on the business side that's been really, really helpful and very important to the growth of the economy is making our tax system competitive in the world market again. Last time we had major tax reform was in the mid-1980s. It took Ronald Reagan 3 times, 3 tries, in order to get a final tax reform bill in 1986, 1987. That's been 31 years ago. The world has changed dramatically over the course of the last 3 decades from an economic standpoint, but there's still a lot of complexity to it. And over time, we're going to continue to try to push things so that we have a fair, more opportunistic tax code that works for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and that's an excellent segue. So I'd like to welcome up Davis Milligan. He is a local CPA that has been in this community since, you told me earlier, 1984, with a business in Charlotte. And many of us have had Davis come to our rescue at the last minute, so we appreciate that very much, and we're going to let him break this down on a local level. We do have time held at the end for questions for both of our panelists.
Thank you, Kelly. When Representative Rouser was going over the different presidents and everything, it made me realize how old I am, because I've been around for every one of them. But the big thing, of course, in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was the lowering of the tax rates. I'm going to first go over some things in the individual arena, which affect everybody in the room, and then in the latter part I'll discuss some things about the business changes. The rates did drop. The top rate went from 39.6 under the new rules, 37%. And as Representative Rouser mentioned, all this became effective generally 1/1/18, and it runs through 2025. Which he said they had some plans for after that, but right now that's the effect of the new law. Another thing that changed that's a pretty good benefit to folks with children, the child tax credit doubled. If you have a child that's under the age of 17, previously you got a $1,000 tax credit, and that's a tax credit, which, as you know, is like real money. And under the new rules, it's going to be $2,000. So that doubled. That's going to help folks with small children. The standard deduction, as Representative Rouser mentioned, pretty much doubled for most filing statuses. For married filing jointly, it went from $12,007 to $24,000. For a single person, it went from $6,350 to $12,000. For a person filing under the head of household status, it went from $9,350 up to $18,000. So, you know, roughly most of those doubled. One thing that in doing all that, and I know there were parameters they were working under, the personal exemption was repealed. Many of you being here in North Carolina might remember about 3 years ago, North Carolina did something similar when they lowered rates. They repealed the personal exemption. A couple other things that happened, and you may have heard about this. I'm sure there was a lot of debate about this, about the limitation that's placed on state and local income taxes and property taxes. It was in some of the drafts I saw when the law was being debated, there were different proposals, but it wound up being a limit of $10,000. So if you're itemizing your deductions, that could come into play for 2018 going forward. Another thing that came into existence in the final draft was, and this actually got, I think, increased a little bit in the final draft, was the limitation on mortgage interest. In 2017, you could have a home mortgage of up to $1 million and fully deduct all the interest. Beginning in 18, that got lowered to $750,000. Not going to affect a whole lot of people, but there are probably some folks out there that it will impact.
I hope you enjoyed this month's Be in Brunswick, and we'll come back again and see us next month.